Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new episode of On It. I am Mikey. That is Devin.
Damn, I wish I could remember what we talked about. I couldn't even remember what we talked about the Super Bowl.
If it has to come down to that, or I just seem like a hater to get my point across, I'll do it.
Oh my God, he missed it!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of On It. We are here. I am here. Because it's just me today. And the reason being, you might be wondering, you see, nobody on the left of me. Yeah, nobody on the left of me today. That's because Devin, and I'd love for anybody, just think of a guess, something in your mind, like what it could be, where he could be, and I guarantee you it's the last thing. It's the last thing. And I'm sorry, Devin. I'm sorry I have to just put you out there and put your business out there. But Devin is in Wyoming. And no disrespect to Wyoming, I'm sure maybe there is more to do than I think. Maybe Wyoming is cool. Maybe Wyoming is just, one of those low-key states. But if they are a low-key state, they're so low-key that I have no clue. They're so low-key that they're forcing me to be ignorant towards Wyoming. And so yes, I'm going to put the blame on Wyoming for that one. But no, the man is in Wyoming. So he'll be back next episode. He gets to, sit there and watch his Commanders win from, Wyoming. Cool. There you go. But we still have things to talk about. Even if Devin ain't here, we still got to get some type of narratives pushed because that's just what we do when it comes to NFL football. Week 3. What the fuck happened? I mean, I really don't even know where to start when it comes to week 3 football. Here, hold on. Let's get real. Hold on. Let's put my headphones on. All right, now let's get to business. We got the headphones on. Now it's time to talk. Atlanta versus Carolina. I guess that's the first game that was on the slot. First game we predicted for week 3. I don't really know what to make of this. I don't want to like people pop in the comments, call me crazy, call Devin crazy because of maybe some of our reactions or overreactions to these early games, and maybe we have a take that is just a little too out of pocket this early, at least. I don't know. I don't know what to say about Atlanta. I mean, we have a very small sample size for Michael Penix, but at the same time, I feel like in 2025, I feel like 2025 could be. How should I word that? In 2025. The amount of quarterbacks that are out there, the quarterback pool is, I'd say it's pretty big. I would say, especially compared to what you have. I mean, if you have a second-year quarterback that, you're kind of maybe potentially giving up on, or maybe isn't living up to the expectations you had for him, maybe you have somebody that is a little bit better out there. I'm not saying Michael Penix is Anthony Richardson, because that is very disrespectful. I'm not going to lie. If I'm going to sit here and already say Michael Penix is Anthony Richardson, then, well, yeah, you might as well find a replacement now. But that is kind of an example. If you look at somebody like Anthony Richardson, you bring in somebody like Daniel Jones, who I didn't think was going to be that much of a threat, especially considering, you have one quarterback that's supposed to be your franchise guy, and you have one quarterback that's, you can't, not a journeyman, but he was, I feel like, on pace to be. I thought that was, I thought he was trending towards journeyman, but now he's here. He's 3-0, and Anthony Richardson might not ever play football again unless it's, they're up 21 points in the fourth quarter. Then he'll get some snaps. But I feel like regardless, if they truly went into this season going, all right, well, I don't think Kirk Cousins. I'm not gonna sit here and put Kirk Cousins on a pedestal at all. But he's put in his time. He is, he's a veteran quarterback. The man knows how to play football. I know how stupid that may sound, but when you hear me out. DJ Lagway, right? Sometimes when I watch him throw a football, actually all the time, ever since the season has started, watching DJ Lagway play football, I have struggled to believe that he actually knows what he's doing out there. With that being said, I'm going to say Kirk Cousins knows at least a little bit more than some quarterbacks out there. But they went into this offseason going, look, Michael Penix is the guy. He's the future. And that's even more different than just drafting a quarterback and starting him. I mean, you are putting him on a pedestal by publicly choosing him over the veteran that you paid crazy money for. And now he's your starting quarterback, and you said he's the guy. We're seeing that he might not be the guy. He might just be a guy. He did not look good at all. And talking about this last episode with Devin, this was supposed to be a game where we were going to find out. All right, do the Bucks have comp? Is there going to be any interesting? Is there going to be any reason to be interested in the race for the NFC South by November, December? It's starting to lean towards no, absolutely not. There's no reason. There's no reason to even worry if you're a Bucks fan because Atlanta sucks, and it's a shame. It's a shame. Atlanta has too many weapons to suck. Atlanta has too many weapons to be 1-2 right now. To give up that first. I mean, let me backtrack. Week 1, we did have a conversation after that saying, Bijan being the most targeted receiver. He led the team in receiving yards. And it seemed like there was a lot of, checking down. There was a lot of safety valve shit going on. And I mean, if you're a rookie QB or second year QB with barely any time under your belt, I could see you slowly growing, evolving from just, immediately or just, always resorting to the safety valve. But I think if you tell Michael Penix to open it up, you kind of see what you saw against Carolina. I mean, it's not there. And I know the problem is I don't want to go so far to say like, all right, it's time to look the other way. Maybe we're going to see who else can step in and fill in your role, but or maybe we trade for somebody. Maybe I don't think they do that. And to be honest with you, I think that we're going to get to a point where you may only have so many games to prove yourself before you get pulled. I think Michael Penix might be an example of that. I don't know if as time goes on, I don't know if we get to see rookie QBs, first round QBs get that luxury of being able to fuck up for 2 or 3 years. I think that's out. I think this is, we're a year or two from if Caleb doesn't improve. This is Bryce's Hail Mary year. There's the window for opportunity for rookie QBs or young QBs, first round QBs. It's getting smaller and smaller. It's closing. It's starting to close. But with that being said, Carolina 30-0. I don't think this is good. I don't think this resembles some type of resurgence from Carolina because, I mean, let's be real. It's Carolina. I think this just showed that, Atlanta is not this team that we thought could have potentially pushed for the NFC South spot, and Bucks are sitting comfortable, which is kind of that's also a shame. We're going to be able to see the Bucks slide in there with shit. They can go on a 6-game losing streak and finish the year 9-8 and probably still win the NFC South. And, then they have to go and run into a freight train in the playoffs, and it's a whole different ball game. And speaking of ball game, it was probably ball game about 5 minutes into the Cincinnati-Minnesota game, maybe give or take. And regardless of the score, I don't know if this is the game that, we were talking about. Is J.J. McCarthy's job in jeopardy? Is this another young QB that might have to worry about, losing a spot? And I think if Carson Wentz was younger, maybe if Carson Wentz had a lot more in front than behind in terms of time left, or, wasn't injury prone, maybe there was a chance we could have that conversation, but this was just an all-out dominant performance by Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota's defense looked great. Cincinnati looked terrible. I think that there was a chance that you may have not had. I mean, the score would have looked more like a shootout if you would have had Joe Burrow out there instead of Jake Browning, who, I mean, fuck. If I'm Bengals fans, I'm sorry. I do feel bad for y'all. And as time goes on, I'm just leaning towards not really liking teams based on their fan bases opposed to, rivals like, Browns, Bengals, Steelers. I truly don't hate them. I want good competition in my division. I want to be able to look at the Ravens and say that they were able to win in the toughest division in football or one of the best divisions in football. So I do kind of feel bad because I have to sit here and watch, and it's a double-edged sword because we can go out there and beat the Bengals twice, and it's like, oh, whoop-de-doo, you beat the Bengals 2-0 against the Bengals. Jake Browning is their quarterback, or we fucking lose to Jake Browning and the Bengals. So either way, it's not that much of it's no more than a pat on the back for the Baltimore Ravens. But sadly, you look at Minnesota, and I mean, regardless, you Carson Wentz, JJ can be out there. I'm not sure if this isn't going to be just the exact thing we saw last year. We're going to see them have a spectacular defense. We're going to see them win a lot of regular season games, and then they're going to run into a team that might not have more than 9 or 10 wins in the playoffs and look like shit. I don't really know how else to word it, but they just look like shit. So, um, I think it is a shame that we're gonna be able to see. Which, you know what, it's not a shame. We need entertainment during the regular season. We need teams that we know they're not going to the Super Bowl. We know they're not, and honestly, you could throw Baltimore in that conversation if you truly feel that way about them. You need teams that are gonna be entertaining all year, exciting all year. But they're not. This isn't the team you're going to be watching play in February, which is fine. You got to watch them play. You got good football for 3 months out of them. And I guess last thing from Cincinnati and Minnesota. Cincinnati, the Bengals do not deserve Joe Burrow. And by that I mean like that team. They don't deserve like the franchise itself. They do not deserve Joe Burrow. And I'm not going to go as far to say that it's going to be a Andrew Luck situation, because that was just, I mean, the Andrew Luck situation was something different. So I don't know if I can really compare Joe Burrow to Andrew Luck, but I feel like as time goes on, and I think regardless of, say Joe Burrow was a part of the conversation when it comes to like, should we give T Higgins, this much money as well? How bad do we need Trey Hendrickson? Um, Regardless of whatever he has to say about it, GM should have done a lot better. That head office should have done a lot better. They have not, in the last 5 years he's been in the NFL, found a way to protect him. They have not found a way to give him a good defense. They have just made that man go out there and throw 5 touchdowns and still lose. I mean, a top 5 quarterback should not have to worry about something. I don't know how many top 5 quarterbacks get this much, like, I guess, lack of help when it comes to a full, team. And I get it. Maybe he has the best wide receiver duo in the NFL, but that's it. I mean, no run game, no offensive line, no defense. And I mean, when you look at the history of the NFL, having just a good quarterback and receiver duo, fantastic. Always going to be, something you're going to want when it comes to your favorite team. But when that's all you have, it really means nothing. It means nothing. I mean, like, you look at the New York Giants. Okay, Russell Wilson and Malik Neighbors, they have this connection. The Giants still suck. I mean, the Giants still suck. So I don't really know, what you could say about Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, except for the fact that, if you have them on your fantasy team, hey, you won this weekend. But it's a shame that they seem more hyper focused on keeping a couple stars around and saying fuck how we do fuck our schedule. We don't need to win it. We don't really care about winning. We don't have a top 5 quarterback that could lead us to another Super Bowl, or lead us to another Super Bowl appearance at least. Give us some type of chance, some type of hope. I'm just gonna sit back and watch this Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase connection. Maybe more clip farming for the Bengals when he gets back out of but I think the NFL, this is a confusing week. This is a confusing weekend. And mind you, it's not over. I am going to probably be doing like a little doubleheader type of episode where next episode I'm going to be giving MVPs and DPOIs, OPOIs out, those awards for the week, my power ranking, and discussing Sunday Night Football, which is on right now. But besides that, Monday Night Football, Ravens versus Detroit. I am going to discuss that probably tomorrow, probably the day this episode comes out. But this week has already been super confusing. I've been fooled a couple times already this week, and Green Bay versus Cleveland was one of those games that just, one of those games that tricked my stupid ass. And you know what? Like, I couldn't blame anybody. I could not blame a single person for picking the Green Bay Packers. And not even just saying, like, oh, versus the Browns, but it's like you look at the context of this season so far, the Green Bay Packers have looked fantastic. They looked, they 2-0. They played good against good teams. Well, and however, fuck how you feel about Washington, they just put up 41 with their backup quarterback. They're a good team. 41. Let me fact check myself. Let me make sure I'm not talking crazy. Yeah, 41 points with the backup quarterback. So I don't want to hear shit about Washington not being a good team. I got you, Devin. But Green Bay this Green Bay team going against Cleveland, I mean, this should have been an absolute no-brainer. I mean, this should have been another team putting up 41 points this week. And I think we found out a couple things, which, I mean, if you saw last week against Baltimore, Cleveland is they have a stingy fucking defense. Their defense is good. Their defense is confident. Their defense is stingy. Their defense does not play around. Their defense gave 40-year-old Joe Flacco plenty of chances to win this game this week, and they got it done. I mean, and mind you, I think the Packers, the reason that I could overreact. I could say that, oh man, the Packers lost to the Browns. How are they going to be able to compete with these other teams? But so far, we've seen them compete with other teams. We've seen what they've done already versus Detroit and Washington, two teams that were in the playoffs, two teams that, divisional round, NFC championship, two teams that went far in the playoffs, two teams that we expect to be back in the playoffs still, in week 3. But I think this was more of a day where, besides the fact that Cleveland had one stingy fucking defense, or besides the fact that Cleveland has one stingy fucking defense, I think the Packers walked in a little too confident. I think the Packers walked in and played down to the level of their competition. And I think the best teams in the NFL can get caught. They can get caught lacking like that. They absolutely can walk into a game thinking, all right, we got this. No need to even fuck. Did we even game plan this week? Did we even watch film? Who knows? It's the fucking Browns. Do we need to watch film? We know who Myles Garrett is. We're gonna watch out for that fucker. But I mean, it's the Browns. What are we gonna worry about? I think if they, if you look at, who does Green Bay play, pretty, upcoming. I want to just take a look and see who Green Bay is going to be looking at in the upcoming schedule. So they're going to have Dallas. All right, so it's going to take a couple weeks to find out what Green Bay is really made of when we see them play another team that's comp. But I will say, if they put it on Dallas, sure. I'm kind of going to shit on them after what they did against Chicago, but if they put it on Dallas, yep, we're right back in, the hype column. We're putting Green Bay right back in the hype column if they put it on Dallas, but then they get their early bye week, which I don't know if I love that. But then they have Cincinnati, Arizona. They can go in and beat Pittsburgh. Cool. Carolina. But week 10 is what I want to see. Week 10, Green Bay versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that one right there, that's going to be as long as there's no injuries that happen between now and then, which, maybe there's a couple pulled hammies or something hopefully at the most, but I think that'll be a great test for the Green Bay Packers. And I hopefully it's good. But yeah, I mean, besides that, Green Bay lost to Cleveland. I'm sorry, Packers fans. It happens. As a Ravens fan, I know how it feels to just lose to Cleveland, not know how it happened. You sat there for 4 hours just pondering life, trying to figure out, is this who we are now? Is this we just lose to teams like Cleveland? You'll bounce back. You already beat Detroit. You already beat Washington. You're in a good spot. Houston versus Jacksonville. So speaking of good spots, these are two bad spots. Jacksonville, I'm not going to hype up at all. I'm not going to give them too much credit. And maybe I'm a hater. Maybe say if I'm a hater, I'm a hater. But Houston as a whole, and I will say I'm a little biased. I am a CJ Stroud fan. I do think that CJ Stroud, I think he could use a little help. I mean, and I know I sit here and say like, oh, Brock Purdy is this game manager and this and that, and oh, how good is Jared Goff with all these weapons? I get it, but either way, I can admit that there are levels to this shit, and you may need a little bit of help when you have your team 1 year bringing in. I mean, last year Houston, they were making moves that shit I loved. I love the moves Houston were making, but then you watch the season last year and Diggs falls apart. Diggs gets hurt, or Diggs gets hurt early in the season, and and they just didn't really live up to the expectations that at least I had for Houston going into last season. And then you go into this season with they trade away their best offensive lineman. They Stephon Diggs, he's going to New England, he's out. You're coming in with an injured wide receiver room. You're coming in. Fuck it. Let's get Nick Chubb. Why not? Let's just get Nick Chubb. That's gonna help. That's gonna help this team. But no, I think Houston is I think we're at the point where we can just start. We can sort these teams. Like we can, if we want to dumb it down real quick for some of these teams, you can just simply put it as they're not that good. The Houston Texans are not that good, and that's just what it is. We saw. I think regardless of whatever bias you have or whoever you're a fan of, there's certain teams where you can know week 3 what it really is. We know that Jacksonville isn't going far. Shit, we saw Carolina put up 30, and we know they're not going far. We already know Atlanta's not going far. And when you look at a team like when you look at Houston this year, how they've looked, what is there to even, there are certain teams where there's certain teams that just have a ceiling opposed to potential. You look at this Houston Texans team, and I'm not really sitting here trying to you can't really tell me what their next step could be. Like what are we missing, in terms of what else could how much better could they do moving forward this year with what they have? It's not like, we're not looking at a team, like San Francisco who lost George Kittle. And we could sit there and say, hey, maybe once George Kittle's back, they could be a little more versatile on the offensive side of the ball. But what do you have for Houston? I mean, there's I guess, okay, let's get Tank back and Jesus Christ, is it Tank or it's Tank, right? Tank Dell. Okay. I guess you could say, hey, Tank Dell, maybe his return does a little bit of something for the offense, brings a little spark back. But what would you say about Cincinnati? What did I just say about Cincinnati? Adding some great connection between bringing Tank Dell coming back and say, him and CJ Stroud next season have a great connection. If they still have a shit roster around them, it really doesn't matter. It's like, all right, you're gonna get your highlights, your clips between these two, but there's nothing really else to look at when it comes to the Houston Texans. So kind of a meaningless win. I mean, when I say meaningless win, it's like, it's Houston with the expectations that we kind of had for them. Could have used this win that we may have assumed was going to be an easy dub before the season started. But we know Jacksonville isn't going to do anything this year, so them getting this win, it's kind of just, I mean, fuck, they're not going to be able to draft this high, and Houston just is more fucked than they thought they were going to be. Indianapolis versus Tennessee, not really much to say about that. I mean, the Daniel Jones return, the Daniel Jones comeback is something that, I mean, if you asked me just 100 of my hottest takes, like if you sat me in a room and I had to come up with 100 hot takes for the 2025 season, there would have been a lot about, maybe one quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, but Daniel Jones just coming in and dog walking whoever's there and the Colts looking this fucking good. No, I would have never said it. I would have never guessed that. I would have never predicted this. It's almost a miracle. It's kind of like a miracle. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they're continuing to do it. Now, mind you, it is Tennessee. But either way, I mean, it's the Colts were going to, I thought they were going to be this team where they would have walked in against a team like Tennessee and it's probably going to be like a 3-point game. Who knows? But then you see from the jump, week 1, Daniel Jones coming in as a starter. Colts aren't fucking around. And I like it. And sadly, they're kind of the Colts are kind of in the same position as the Bucs where, they look good, but they look really fucking good in comparison to their division rivals, which, may affect them later in the season when they have to play, playoff contenders or just when they get to the playoffs. But regardless, I mean, Colts are still cooking. But this is the game of the week. I mean, at least so far, unless the Giants and Kansas City, who are playing right now, turn it around and steal the spotlight, or Detroit and Baltimore do have a chance, but so far Philly and the Rams. I mean, the Rams go up 21 points. Philly storms back. You have a super rare back-to-back block field goal to win the game, and a lot of people are out there talking about whether or not, or asking the question, throwing the prompt out there, was Jalen Hurts bailed out? A lot of people are asking if Jalen Hurts was bailed out this week, or somebody tweeted out, oh, Jalen Hurts bailed out again. Here we go. Philly gets to sneak away with the dub. So I guess if I had to ask myself, did Jalen Hurts get bailed out against the Rams? No, absolutely not. Jalen Hurts did not get bailed out by the Rams. If anything, the Eagles got bailed out by two things: Jalen Hurts and the fact that the Rams kind of got too comfortable. I mean, they were up. Here's the thing. Sure, back-to-back block field goals to win the fucking game is going to be something that we're probably not going to see again for a very long time. Even though we saw a lot of block field goals this week already, and it's rare, but back-to-back block field goals to win the game. I mean, we're talking double extra rare. And I think you look at Jalen Hurts this game, coming back in the second half. I mean, you're down 21 points, so that offensive rookie of the year next to you, I'm not going to say is meaningless, but he was, you're not really looking, you're like, I appreciate you, Saquon, but you kind of have to step back and let me cook for a minute, which is kind of what Jalen Hurts did. I mean, it's exactly what he did. And AJ fucking Brown, he steps up, but I mean, if AJ Brown finally decides to, have one of these games, we already know that Jalen Hurts is capable of having these games. I mean, you can't sit there. I mean, AJ Brown, you can't say that he bailed out Jalen Hurts when he's supposed to do this. This is what he is supposed to do. So I can't say he was bailed out by him either. I think Jalen Hurts stepped up, fucking locked in that second half, and the rest was history. I think, if you want to look at it and say that Jalen Hurts got bailed, if you want to look at it and say Jalen Hurts got bailed out by, two blocked field goals to win the game, I think you'd also have to sit there and say, well, if Jalen Hurts continued to do what he was doing in the first half and the second half and put up a shitter, well, y'all wouldn't have been in that position to be up a point and win by just blocking a field goal. So, no, Jalen Hurts was not bailed out. Jalen Hurts was not saved by Philadelphia, or, saved by the rest of the team, or God didn't step in and block two field goals. Jalen Hurts did what he was supposed to do. He looked like a top 10 quarterback. He looked like shit that first half. I'm not going to sit here and act like, it was just Jalen Hurts was just sitting there pretty all game. But, the Eagles as a whole kind of looked like shit that first half. And they could have folded. They could have stepped down and say, you know what, all right, well, Rams are fucking nice, and maybe we're not like that. Maybe we are that team that put up 100 yards last week. Maybe we are that team that just can only, scram or tush push. We can just push tushes around here, and that's all we can do. But they didn't. Mind you, Rams, obviously I've been a fan of the Rams going into this season, and I've been hyping them up, and I've been excited, but I think that, you could say they make a couple more plays and they probably walk out of there with a dub, or if they don't have two blocked field goals, they walk out there with a dub. But I think either way, they could put blame on themselves for not just keeping their foot on the gas for a little bit longer. But I think that we have a chance of this being maybe a rematch in the playoffs. Maybe we get to just see these two teams and how much better they can get throughout the year. And they are two top contenders, because I think, we still saw a lot of good from the Rams. If that offense is exactly what we expected and wanted it to be, if you want to see the Rams prevail in any way. If not, well, I'm sorry. But no, I liked what I saw from both teams. And I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles have obviously shown that they're not backing down, whether it's, you think they're shit because they only needed to throw for hundreds and beat the Chiefs, or if they're down 21 against the Rams. It doesn't matter. Vegas versus Washington, 2-1 with Jaden Daniels out. I mean, there was a chance of him playing this week, so probably going to return, soon this week, next week, if not the week after. But I liked what I saw. They were able to put up 40 fucking points, and yeah, there's not really much else to say. We know I think maybe this is more showing who Vegas is. I think you expect a team who was in the NFC Championship a year ago to be able to beat a team like Vegas with all these unanswered questions. But I think we're starting to get answers to these questions. I think it's starting to be but are we shocked? Are we shocked at what the Raiders are able to do? Are we shocked at the Raiders' ceiling? I mean, I'm not. Are you? Or are you shocked at? Are you shocked at what you know? People, we saw the media hype up this team, hype up the moves they made, hype up Pete Carroll being the new head coach and Geno Smith and all this shit. But the Raiders aren't that good. And I know sometimes I dumb it down a little too much. And you don't know ball. But I mean, it's simple. It's like they are not that good. Geno Smith is middle of the pack quarterback, and that's that. I don't really know what else to say about the Raiders. Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay versus the Jets. Bucks. They keep the Jets. The Bucks kept the Jets in this game just long enough to see one more Baker game-winning drive. And you can call it glazing or whatever you want to call it, but Baker Mayfield, with or without the last 3 weeks of having game-winning drives, he might not be top 5. He might not be an MVP. He might not ever be, leading a team to a Super Bowl victory. But when it comes to entertaining, he's up there with he's up there with the best. When it comes to putting on a Bucks game and watching Baker Mayfield play, one of the most entertaining quarterbacks in the league. Regardless of where you rank him, regardless of how good you think he is, whatever you think his ceiling is, Baker Mayfield is one of the most entertaining quarterbacks in the NFL and might be one of the most entertaining quarterbacks in NFL history when the game is on the line and the ball's in his hands. And you can go back in history and say maybe some of those times it turned into tragedy. Baker Mayfield is a fucking clutch quarterback. And he's up there with some of the other top clutch quarterbacks of all time. But yeah, so obviously I'm a fan of Baker. I'm glad that the Bucks are 3-0. And I think the biggest thing is it's a shame that they have to share that division with a bunch of bums who aren't really going to give them much of a reason to, besides just wanting to win a football game. I guess they're not really lighting any more fire. The fire lit under the Bucks is not getting. Nobody's adding gasoline to that fire from that division. There's not a single person adding anything else to that fire. So Bucks are going to win the NFC South. I don't really know what else to say about that. Pittsburgh versus New England. Really not much to take from this. Kind of just two mid teams going at it. It was entertaining. It was a good game. It was a game. I don't really know what else to say. It was a game. Pittsburgh versus New England. They were 9 games on at 1:00, and I guess I could say those are one of the games that could have kept your attention. But besides that, we do have the 4:00 games. Like I said, I'm probably going to be discussing Sunday Night Football next episode. Because right now Kansas City's up 3-0, 3 minutes left in the first quarter. But we did have week 4, which I'm kind of fresh coming off of. The week 4. Let me back up. But we do have 4 p.m. games to discuss, to talk about, because I'm kind of fresh off of those. We had not going to waste too much time talking about them. Usually I sit on a game for a day or two and think of them. Maybe what to look forward to in the future. But with these games, it was pretty simple. You got the Broncos and the Chargers. Chargers are 3-0. Chargers are winning games in ways that I didn't think they were going to be able to. They are winning games with with what I thought would be their weaknesses, if that makes any sense. What I thought was going to be their weakness, absolutely hitting it out of the fucking park. Najee Harris, his Achilles is gone. Not trying to be funny, but that thing is out of there. There's no way that wasn't anything except an Achilles tear. And they win at the end. Justin Herbert made sure to get that team down in field goal range by the end of that game, and 23-20. Broncos, they were obviously comp. They were in this game. It was a game to the end, and I think there is a lot of good you could take from the Broncos. But I think the Chargers are putting pressure on the Chiefs right now. I'll say that. The Chargers are putting a lot of pressure on the Chiefs right now, because I think we might have a new AFC West champion this year. Saints Seahawks. I don't even know what to say. I looked down and it was 7-0, and then I looked down like one more time and then it was 14-0, and then like they had the ball, so it was over. There was nothing for me to really say about this game. Obviously, the Saints are who the Saints are, one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the NFL, and they're gonna be drafting Arch Manning next year. So that's about all we got for the Saints versus the Seahawks. Cardinals 49ers. Once again, not going to sit here and gas up Mac Jones, at least for the reasons that people think. He's getting it done, and that's all you had to ask him to do. In my opinion, I think Brock Purdy, when you watch him play and when he wins games, you go, all right, he got it done. There's no P conversation. There's no, it's more of just like, oh, remember Mr. Irrelevant. Don't forget him. Remember? He was picked last. Hey, people didn't believe in him. Look at him now. But that's really all you got from, that's really all you got for Brock Purdy. It's kind of the same thing you had for Mac Jones. Obviously, only beating the Cardinals by a point. It's not the best look ever. You still got the win. You're still 3-0. You beat a 2-0 team, but I think we all know where Arizona is heading. It's nowhere good. It's nowhere interesting. But I think two things from this game. Mac Jones is going to continue to be able to play good enough for the 49ers to win, as long as that shitty defense steps up. Because it wasn't just me, it wasn't just Devin. I mean, people in the comments saying, I don't know if I trust that 49ers defense. I don't know if they're as scary as they once were. And I can't blame anybody for thinking that. And shit, shout out to the people who's called that before the season. I think maybe, okay, George Kittle being out, yeah, it hurts you, obviously. You don't have your receiver room isn't even fully healthy, but still, they're able to get it done on the offensive side of the ball. But that defense, I'm still scared to see what that defense is going to do against a team like, let's see, who do the 49ers have coming up? Okay, Jacksonville. All right, they should be able to handle them. The Rams. Okay, right there. The Rams. What are they going to do against the Rams? What are they going to do when they are lining up against Matt Stafford, Kyron Williams, fucking Puka on one side, Devontae on the other? I mean, what are you going to do? I think that, I don't want to overreact too much, but I think we might see the 49ers defense get exposed a little bit. And, it is what it is. You can't be the most dominant defense forever. And, they lost some pieces last year, and it's, people get old, people age, this is natural. This is nature. This is just natural progression of life. The 49ers defense just isn't as good as they're just not as good as they used to be. And that's okay. I'll tell you what's not okay. What's not okay, well, one, just being a Cowboys fan in general. But what's not okay is fucking losing to the Chicago Bears 31-14. What are we doing? I'm going to have to give Caleb Williams P points this week. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, how do you walk in to Chicago and just let them dog walk you? I don't really see any way the Cowboys could. I don't see any way the Cowboys could cut it other than just like, well, you got us. We kind of suck. We're not as good as we thought we were. I hope CeeDee Lamb's injury isn't too bad. I mean, because it could be minor, it could be major. So we're gonna have to wait to see what happens with CeeDee Lamb's results. But definitely not a good look for the Bears. Now, mind you, same thing I said about who was I talking about? Same thing I said about Green Bay. I don't think Dallas is as good as Green Bay in any way, but they played pretty good. I liked what I saw against Dallas and Green Bay. I think Dallas showed a lot of potential there, even though they lost. And then they were able to beat the Giants in a fucking shootout, which, kind of exposed how bad their DBs are. But still, I liked what I saw against, Comp and the New York Giants. But then you see them go up against a team like Chicago and shit the bed. Kind of similar to, Green Bay going to play a team like Cleveland and shit the bed. Now, mind you, obviously wasn't as bad as this, but I don't really know what to make of this because I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this is the turning point right here. Caleb Williams is just throwing for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns all the time now. Ben Johnson figured it out. Ben Johnson was the answer to Detroit. I don't know if I can do that. So I'm really, I guess I'm just gonna have to. I just gonna have to wait and see. I'm gonna have to just wait and see what the Chicago Bears are able to do because they were, in my eyes, easily heading to be 0-3 after this week. So now they get this random big ass win, and this could either be a once in a blue moon type of win, or maybe they are maybe they're just getting better. Maybe they're just getting better. Who knows? But anyways, those were all of the, I guess, afternoon and evening games played for week 3. We still have Kansas City and the Green. We still have Kansas City and the Giants game to discuss next episode. I'm also going to discuss Monday night. I'm also going to discuss Monday Night Football, Baltimore, Detroit. I've already talked enough shit, and you probably going to be watching this after the game anyways. So it was what it was. If we lost, I'm probably pissed. If we won, I'm probably talking shit. That's what it is. That's what it's like being a football fan. But I want to move on a little bit. I want to transition. I do want to discuss one other thing before I get out of here because I think I'm going to hold off on, awards for this week and power ranking. I'm going to save that for next episode. But who knows? This could turn into something else. This could turn into maybe potentially some more content that could spin away that could spin some more content that could potentially be made from this. But I am all right. But I do want to talk about one other thing. And this other thing, could be something that I'm able to discuss in the future. Could be something that if anybody enjoys discussing it or wants to see more, however you want to word it. This could spin into some more content being created from these topics, but I am a fan of wrestling. I'm a fan of WWE, and I don't get to discuss it on here. I don't talk about it. I don't bring it up much, and that's because my co-host, he don't got a clue, and because he doesn't have a clue, I'm not gonna bring it up and bore him and talk about something that he could care less about. So I'm gonna do that to y'all because he's not here. And what I do want to talk about, because since I am able to discuss a little bit of wrestling today, since I'm by myself, I'm gonna do a little bit of complaining. And maybe this shows who I am. Maybe this exposes who I am as a wrestling fan. Exposes what kind of wrestling fan I am. But I got a couple things to complain about. And it all, either stems from or ended at WrestlePalooza, the first PLE on ESPN. So I guess instead of, starting off with a bang, they just wanted to shit the bed. I don't know how else to put it. I tried it. I don't like being one of those WWE fans who, I'm not critical about every single thing, but there is one obvious, glaring thing that's very important to most WWE fans this year, and that would be the John Cena farewell tour. And, some people have their takes on it, whether it's how they feel about the heel turn or how they feel about his reign or just the run itself or how he turned heel, or turning back face, or just however people feel about the run, they feel about the run. I'm going to put my 2 cents in. I'm going to say how I feel about it. And maybe this is recency bias. Maybe this is me being a little bit of emotional coming off of WrestlePalooza. But the WWE is completely ruining John Cena's farewell tour. And I know there's some politics in there where John Cena doesn't like to decide his matches and he lets creative bullshit. If you're going to sit here and tell me in the last 23 years that he's never put his foot in, or he's never, at least like cryptically, maybe he don't pick his opponents, but he picks who he's not fighting. If you catch my drift. But what I'm getting at is at some point you would think he'd put his foot down and give the fans what he wanted, or at least you'd think at some point he'd put his foot down and give the fans what they want. Or somebody back there in Triple H's ear has like some type of clue as to what the fans would want to see. But Brock Lesnar returning and squashing John Cena, not what any person on this planet wanted to see, unless you were just full blown biggest John Cena hater of all time. I don't think there's any other way to cut it. I'm very disappointed in the way they handled this Brock Lesnar John Cena match, and I'm going to get to that. But let's take a step back, because I have a problem with a lot of things. And if we're gonna just look at the John Cena farewell tour, let's look at where it started. Actually, fuck where it started. Royal Rumble, Jey Uso. If you have your opinions about Jey Uso, you have your opinions about Jey Uso. Me personally, I'll save that for another episode. But John Cena, where do we start? You can go back. Don't worry, I won't take too long. But you go back to Elimination Chamber. The initial heel turn itself, it sucked. I don't really know how else to put it. Like, it clearly didn't need The Rock or Travis Scott to be out there. And I don't even know if it necessarily was worth it at this point. But another reason that this heel turn sucked is because I think I'm going to say probably less than 24 hours after John Cena's heel turn, WWE creative had to pivot. They knew The Rock wasn't going to be involved. They maybe Travis Scott started having cold feet about the future with his involvement in the WWE. But I think that it was a quick realization that, like, we don't really know what we're doing here. We're not too sure what we're going to do with this heel run, but fuck it. Let's just have John go out there and yap. John went out there. And the most obvious reason besides The Rock just not showing up is what he was saying didn't make sense. If John Cena came out here 10, 12, 13 years ago and said and had this same, monologue where he's, shitting on the fans for not having his back or booing him or whatever the fuck, it would have made a lot more sense. Like when he was supposed to like if you just switch embrace the hate with now, like, it would make a lot more sense in that embrace the hate era where you would have an obvious heel turn. But we all know that we weren't going to see a heel turn when it wasn't Triple H who was in control of the WWE. But after he yaps, he talks his shit. I think they start just rushing the classics. They started rushing, they rushed the Orton feud. They rushed the Punk feud. It was, besides Randy Orton coming up, sneak attack on a Sunday night or Sunday night. Unless it was Randy Orton, coming out and RKOing him during his segment. It wasn't really much build up besides that. There wasn't much build up. Call me a hater, call me crazy. The CM Punk John Cena recreating the pipe bomb, kind of corny. Just a little bit. Like, it was just a little corny. And now, mind you, if you're going to be a fan of WWE, you're going to have to embrace a little bit of corniness. But this was one of those moments where it was like, I think maybe the WWE, maybe Triple H expected all of us to go like, wait. Oh, he's doing it. He's doing the pipe bomb. Oh, but at this point, I mean, it was about 5 seconds into him climbing up in that turnbuckle, and I was like, okay, all right, you're gonna do what he did. Okay, this is cool. But like, that was it. That was the pinnacle of their build up to their final match. And obviously they have their final match, and John Cena continues to go on his heel turn championship run. And they, I guess, decided to make sure that Logan Paul was very involved in this. For some reason, I mean, you're going through the classics, but also trying to raise Logan Paul's stock, which I'm gonna just give it now. Obviously, Logan Paul has nothing to do with this, but I'm gonna give my opinion on Logan Paul now, so that when I do discuss him in the future, people aren't confused. Let's go through the obvious points. Logan Paul is a great athlete. Logan Paul is a good wrestler. Logan Paul is getting better. Logan Paul is not a good heel. And now, hold on, before you fucking go in here and start typing and going crazy, just let me explain myself. There's a good heel, and then there's just somebody who you don't like. Logan Paul, and I'm not gonna sit here, nobody fucking knows him personally, but from what we've seen, the shit that you've seen him do in the past, you can pretty much say, if anybody else did that, you would sit there and say that they're a shitty person, which a lot of people do. And honestly, I feel the same way. I can put that aside. There's plenty of people that I see on the NFL field every Sunday, and I know they're a piece of shit, but I still gotta just accept it and watch the game. And, I think Logan Paul might be on that level where he's not liked. He's like he's bearable. Like I guess bearable. Like I guess he's bearable because like he's going to be entertaining and exciting in the ring. But this whole man, like Logan Paul is the future and like he's just a great heel. He's just being himself and like talking a little bit of shit, and then like people just don't like him. The fans don't like you don't have to be Logan Paul to be that person. Like if you took away the name Logan Paul, take away the fucking stupid vines and shit, take away all the YouTube and all that, oh, he's a YouTuber. If if it's an unlikable person, I can't really just give them the credit of being a good heel when they're just being themselves and people don't like them as a person, so they're gonna get heat, they're gonna get booze, they're gonna get heat regardless. So yeah, no, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and be naive and act like Logan Paul isn't a great fucking athlete and can't put together a great match. But I think as time goes on, if he really buys into it, I think that I think another reason that you could dislike him is the fact that he didn't really go through the ropes. He didn't, he was famous and wanted to be a wrestler, so he got a job in the WWE. And it'd be the same way where people, oh, they don't think Bronny James deserved this or whoever didn't deserve that, or it was whatever you want to call it. I think the WWE gives athletes plenty of chances, or gives people who have a platform chances if they really wanted to buy into this shit. I mean, obviously Logan Paul has bought in enough to do some of the shit that he's done in his matches, but I mean, I don't know if he's ever going to be bought in enough to be a household name. And when it's just a fling, when it's a short fling, and it's not gonna be something that's gonna lead to some monumental, like, historic shit, it's kind of hard to buy into. I think we are a bad. Let me put it to you like this, and you could say this for, I guess, other WWE wrestlers, but maybe the top stars. But when it comes to Logan Paul, you're bad. When it comes to Logan Paul, you're one bad meeting away from him just not being a wrestler anymore. All right, well, I'll just go back to doing my podcast and selling Prime and making my money, elsewhere. I don't fuck you. And then the next thing you know, he's exposing WWE 5 years from now. He's doing a whole documentary on how Triple H is a piece of shit, or whatever you wanna, whatever you wanna, or that Triple H is a piece of shit. But who knows what he could be doing 5 years from now. But the Logan Paul shit aside, they made sure that, hey, Logan Paul, he's going to be involved in this a lot. So get ready. Get ready, because John Cena's farewell tour. So we're gonna run the classics, but we're also going to shove Logan Paul down your throat. I think I think if anything, they spent more. If I think if any, I think and then I think if anything, and I love R-Truth. He's great. He is a GOAT in his field. But did they really need to spend the same amount, if not more, time on R-Truth? That did they really have to spend that much time with the R-Truth shit? Did they have to? I mean, they spent probably the same amount of time on the R-Truth shit with CM Punk, Randy Orton, whoever else. Look, I love R-Truth. He's great. He's he's gonna go down in history as one of the. He is a monumental figure in the WWE. But did they really need to spend that much time on their feud? Did they really need a Saturday, or Saturday night main event match? I don't know. Or did they really need a weeks of build up and a match and a return and all this shit? It's just, I don't know how involved R-Truth really needed to be in this, and I don't know if they needed to spend that much time on R-Truth. I think he could have just popped up and had his little moments, and it would have been cool. But there are actual last matches, final time matches, there are some real final matches that we want to see. And I don't think anybody sat there and said, we have to see one more John Cena R-Truth run, or we have to see one more John Cena R-Truth match. I mean, come on. They're fucking wrestling soulmates. How could we not see this again? But no, I don't think, but no, with the R-Truth stuff aside, then out of nowhere, and obviously I'm going out of order, but then John Cena, the most random heel or the most random face turn, turning back face. It was just okay, I'm sorry guys. Hey Cody, thanks. Let's just go out there and have a good one. Okay. What pisses me off is they were sitting there, every match that John was in, they were trying to build up to, you know, as time went on, he got more emotional looking at the fans, and you could see that John wanted to embrace them, but he couldn't. And then he just, I guess, comes out there and decides like, I'm just gonna do it. Um, so, kind of a underwhelming way to turn back face, but it was what it was. We all knew that he needed to be face that match, or Cody Rhodes was going to get booed out of the building being the face. So yeah, I get why you had to turn John Cena back face, but I think this John Cena's John Cena turning back kind of just shows we didn't really need the John Cena heel turn or heel run in the first place. Because then look at it now. You had the match with Logan Paul, which was good. I liked it. It was great. Obviously, fucking way better than WrestlePalooza. But then you had WrestlePalooza. John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar returns at SummerSlam after Cody wins back the WWE Championship. And here we go. Who would have fucking known that Brock Lesnar, with all the drama going on off the, behind the stage and then all that shit going on, the man is back. And some people were mad. And to be completely honest, there are people that were really, really upset. And I get it. Maybe it is some weird shit going on and behind the scenes. But like I said, there are some people that you may, morally not agree with. There's some people that you might not think are the best people, but you still want to watch the product that you like, the product that you want, the product that you sit down and enjoy every week. I'm still going to watch it. It's John Cena's farewell match. He could have been fighting fucking, I don't know, anybody. I couldn't even think of a punchline there. It could literally be anybody on this earth. And yeah, no, I'm tuning into one of John Cena's final matches ever. But then you get the John Cena versus Brock Lesnar match. You have John Cena coming out with a bunch of kids, which, mind you, should have been, not going to hate crazy because they are kids, but come on. They grew up on John Cena. They knew John Cena. Come on. And let me not talk crazy because maybe if it was some Make-A-Wish shit, we already know that that's Captain America. That's Mr. Make-A-Wish. So good on you. But maybe throw in a couple 25 to 30-year-olds in there. Some people that really grew up on John. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a hater. But no, I'm not shitting on kids. Not shitting on kids. Just hopefully they got their. Hopefully they, hopefully someone's making sure they got their history in check. They really know what the fuck they're walking out to. One of John Cena's final matches ever. Unfortunately, they had to sit there and watch John Cena get squashed in, was it 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 8 to 12 minutes? Was it even however long it was an absolute shit fest. It was John Cena getting squashed by Brock Lesnar in a time where it just makes zero sense. It makes no sense at all. Which, first of all, you have Paul Heyman coming out there to announce for Brock, which, okay, we get it. Paul Heyman's the biggest slut, gets tossed around more than OnlyFans stars in the Phoenix Suns locker room, but still, it's okay. Paul Heyman comes out, ooh, we get a pop. But it seems like for some reason we keep trying to play this game, and I don't know if it's Triple H's idea, whoever's idea it is, whoever's idea it is in WWE Creative. They have to paint this picture of John barely hanging on. It's weird. There's certain times throughout this, farewell tour where it's they're painting him as this, it's not the regular, Super Cena comeback after dying. It's just, man, can he still do it? Can he still compete? Should he hang up the jean shorts? And then obviously, yeah, no, fucking freak of nature. He can still compete. Look at him. He's John Cena. And I get it. Look at Brock. He's Brock fucking Lesnar. These are two fucking beasts. But if we have to paint this picture that, John Cena is getting old and he's getting close to retiring and he just knows that he only has so much time left and maybe can't compete with the best of them anymore. So is Brock. Brock's fucking old. Brock's been in the woods fucking hibernating. Brock has been you could have easily painted this picture as Brock being a little rusty. Brock having a little bit of ring rust, Brock trying to figure it out. You could have had a back and forth. There's nothing wrong with John Cena losing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with John Cena getting pinned at the end of a match. But getting squashed when he has 2 months, 3 months left for the rest of eternity, for forever. This is the one wrestler when they say they're retiring. He's never going to come back. Well, okay. Saudi Arabia might give him enough money one day to come back, but that's a whole different conversation for another podcast. Either way, he's not coming back. So for this to be wasted on a squash, because what is this going to lead to? A rematch? The only thing I saw, the only grace I can give the WWE is I saw some people online, some conspiracies, or not conspiracies, just some fantasy booking, and they said, well, you have Paul Heyman coming out for Brock Lesnar. Obviously, Paul Heyman has a connection with the Vision. Seth Rollins, about to say John Cena. Seth Rollins in them. Seth and the Bronze. If this leads, and I know, to me, there's no fucking way. If this does happen, fantastic. If this leads to War Games, you might draw me back in. If this leads to War Games where Brock teams up with Seth, Bronson Reed, and then you're probably going to throw Drew in over there because then you're going to have on the other side John, CM Punk, or Drew, probably throw an LA Knight in there. I saw people saying you have Roman come back and be the 5th for them. Money. That's me giving you money. That's me giving you my money that you keep begging for, TKO. Here, you can have it. Because, I want to see that fucking War Games match. So if you're going to dangle that over me and say that I might be able to get that, okay, I'll take a John Cena squash. But I don't need this to lead to a rematch where they're going to then have the good match. They could have just had one final good match. This is just a stain on John Cena's farewell tour just to remind us that Brock is a monster. Which, here's the cool thing. You shouldn't have to remind people that when you're Brock Lesnar. When, we know. We know you're the monster. We know you're the beast incarnate. We get it. And whether you dislike him as for what he's involved in or not, he's one of the best characters of all. He's one of the most, in terms of just a character, just Brock Lesnar. When that music hits, he is one of the most. He's one of the best, and not in terms of obviously moves said or whatever the fuck. But back in the day, the man was an absolute athlete. But either way, Brock Lesnar is very important to John Cena's career. Brock Lesnar played many roles in John Cena's career, and I think that this was. I don't know. I get it. Maybe this is some get back shit, but I don't really see a reason why. He got his get back when Suplex City was created. It was. I don't really see a reason in this. I don't see a reason for this. I think it's stupid. I think Triple H is an idiot. I think that I'd like to think Triple H isn't jealous, but I want to say Stephanie McMahon's Hall of Fame segment was longer than John Cena and Brock Lesnar's match. So, take what you want from that. If Triple H is this jealous guy running the WWE, then, it's just another jealous guy running the WWE. And it is what it is. But hopefully this turns into something better than just a Brock Lesnar John Cena rematch. I don't want to see that. And I will clip this. This will be clipped from a podcast. So I guess I will end this with, if you want to see more WWE content being discussed, if you want me to, maybe give some hot takes, cover some more PLEs, I'll do it. I'll talk about it. Trust me. Because there's one other thing I'm going to talk about. And it was the CM Punk, AJ Lee, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, all of that shit, that whole feud. Obviously, no, I was definitely hyped for the AJ Lee return. I was on that was on the right side of history when it comes to being excited for the return of AJ Lee. But I hate to say that something is getting a little too stale, a little too fast, because I'm not trying to hate. Trust me, I'm a big fan of all 4 of these wrestlers. I think that one of the reasons I feel this way is because I think all 4 of these wrestlers could go off into different feuds and flourish because they're who they are. But right now, so far, we haven't really seen AJ Lee. It's kind of just April Brooks with CM Punk. It's I get it that kayfabe is dead. But we've seen plenty of years where it's we just didn't need to see Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins together or have to remind us that they're married or have to involve each other no matter what. And it's starting to get a little played out, and it's only been a month or two. And I get it. Seth Rollins and Punk are going to be, conjoined at the hip probably for the rest of the time that they're both in, this company together. And with that being said, I kind of feel like you spread it out a little bit. It doesn't have to be 2 fucking years straight of just them having straight beef. Like, I get it. It's smoke when y'all see each other, but I mean, it's just you gotta let it breathe. You gotta let it breathe a little bit. You gotta let because then we're gonna go on to war games. If we do go into war games, there probably is gonna be a matchup between Punk and Rollins at some point in those cages, and it's gonna be all about when those two are in that match, all about how they hate each other, and it's just no matter what, if they're involved in a match, it's going to be just CM Punk and Seth Rollins feuding. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how much time CM Punk has left in the WWE. I'll say 3 to 5, like good, like productive years left, and that's like I'm being really generous. I mean, like he is old, like bro's getting old. So I'm not gonna sit here and act like he can't go out there and outwork anybody that's in that fucking ring. But let's just be real. We're human. 3 to 5 good more years, and then he's probably gonna be starting to, figure out what he wants to do behind the scenes. I don't need this for 3 more years. I don't need Seth Rollins and CM Punk beefing for just months on months on months, just continuous feud. I don't need it. Let it breathe. Bring it back a year from now. Let's see, let's reignite the beef and let's have a reason for them to beef. Because at this point, they just don't like each other. So let's fight. I don't like you. You don't like me. Let's fight. And I mean, when it gets to that point, at least for me, in a WWE storyline where there's really no reason to have a match, just besides like okay, they have the AJ Lee return, like now, like in my eyes, it's over. There's no reason for anything else to happen involving all 4 of them. I do want to see AJ Lee and Becky Lynch continue their feud. Let that go off into its own direction, but I think when it comes to like we get it. CM Punk and AJ Lee are married. Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins are married. We don't have to keep playing this, I have to include my wife, or I have to include my husband, and we have to have this in this all access family brawl. We don't need it. We don't. It's played its. We've seen everything they can do with this feud. I mean, because we're not like they tease the shit. Whoa, Seth Rollins gonna fucking. Is he gonna curb stomp AJ Lee, or is Becky gonna get put to sleep? Like we've already seen the teases of them hitting the women or whatever the fuck, or some crazy shit happening, but nothing else. What crazier is gonna happen under Triple H? What else? What more could they do besides just run it back? And I know, I get it. Triple H, if there's one thing he loves to do, it's running it the fuck back. But I think that we've capsulated enough. I think that it's time to move on. Maybe get Punk and Rollins in a different feud, and if they are going to feud, it's just because of different sides of war games, or teaming up with other people to fight each other. But I'd like to see them move on. I'd like to see them come up with something new. I'd like to see them let AJ Lee be AJ Lee without CM Punk, because that's never been AJ Lee. We've never needed to be reminded, like, hey, remember, she's CM Punk's wife. Hey, that's AJ Lee's husband. Like, they are both their own stars, and that's very clear, and they've made that very clear. So I think that Triple H needs to, and if anything, if we're gonna just talk just entertainment value and what we can get across the board when it comes to a week to week thing, if we can see Seth Rollins in this feud, CM Punk in this feud, Becky Lynch and AJ Lee in their own feud, we're getting more out of the same shit. We're getting more out of the same people that were giving us one feud. And why would we not want that? But yeah, I'm not gonna hate crazy on the whole AJ Lee and CM Punk. They're having fun, they're all married, they're all fantastic. But either way, I would like to see I'd like to see them branch off into different feuds and not really have to just be stuck at the just glued to the hip. But with all that being said, gave a little WWE talk. It was nice, a little break from the NFL, because I don't get as angry watching WWE. You can't. At the end of the day, there's somebody with a script. And then the NFL, you just have Devin sitting here every week telling me that there's somebody with a script. So I don't really know what to believe. But with all that being said, I will probably be back tomorrow or Tuesday, Wednesday to discuss Sunday Night Football. It is 6-6, so to be honest with you, probably not going to be much to say about this Giants-Chiefs game. We will have the Lions and the Ravens playing Monday Night Football. I'm going to give my awards for Week 3, give the power ranking out, and then we will have Devin returning on Saturday. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode of On It. Brand new episodes every Tuesday and Saturday. It has been me. It has been real. I am out.